Hey everyone, it's Sandra and welcome back to this channel. Today we are talking about my top 10 and bottom 10 books of the year. These will all be books that I have read for the first time this year. They're not going to include my rereads. Let's get into this. First, we'll talk about the top 10, starting with some honorable mentions. First of all, I have the adorable little golden book. You know that I love this if you saw my book miss. It was just so cute. But for real books, I have Hairpin Bridge, which I'd heard mixed reviews. Some people do not love this, but I really enjoyed it. And I also have The Nanny, which I really enjoyed. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as the other books that you'll see in this video, but both of these were kind of my intro to thrillers, as well as another one that's a little further up on this list here that we're going to talk about in a minute. But I did want to mention these because I do like them a lot. So taking the number 10 spot is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I really enjoyed this. And even in looking through my books, I literally just filmed the video that you saw yesterday where I was going through all of my physical books that I read and still loved it so much. I just can totally understand why people are obsessed with this. It's so lovely, no pun intended. Highly recommend everyone read this. I didn't want to read it because I thought that was cliche, but like, it's amazing. And I definitely recommend that everyone read this book. Driven by Eternity by John Bevere. And I'm including this just because it was so thought-provoking. It was next level. I love this. It also includes the story of Affabel that he had written. It very much has like Pilgrim's Progress vibes, and I don't know how else to explain it because of the way that it's written. It's like the characters have character qualities as their name, and it just kind of tells the story. Basically, they go to this like school and they're taught all about this like kingdom royal city, and basically they have to decide like if they believe in this king that they've never seen or not. And they earn their place in the kingdom based on how they live while they're at this school. Anyway, it's great. I loved it. And then he also has like regular nonfiction style writing in here too. I just really enjoyed this. Highly recommend. So then number 8 is a Christmas book, and it is A Royal Christmas Wedding. This gives me Once Upon a Time vibes because it is very much that mix of like real life and fantasy fairy tale. Just so awesome. I loved it. Cannot wait to read the rest of the series. I just can't wait. I love Rachel Hawkes' writing. I love her stories. So ready to get into the other ones that I will read hopefully in 2020. The next 2 books are also Christmas books. First we have Her Amish Holiday Suitor. Yes, I got that right. If you've seen my past videos, you know it's been a struggle to get this title, but I love this book. It's basically Amish fake courting, and I didn't know that was a thing that I needed in my life, but I really do. Like, if anybody else knows some Amish fake courting books, let me know because I'm a huge fan. And then we have It Started with Christmas by one of my favorite authors now, Jenny Hale. I've read 2 of her books, but I'm just assuming that she's the best author ever based on these 2 books' experience. But seriously, love this. It's basically close proximity trope where this woman and her nana go to their cabin outside of Nashville for Christmas, and while they are traveling there's a huge snowstorm and they get snowed in. Meanwhile, there was a guest staying at the cabin, and he is also snowed in with them for the Christmas holidays. They get to know each other. They become really close, but there's also a hint of forbidden romance, and the woman's long lost love, so to speak, comes back for the holidays as well. So we have a little bit of a love triangle situation. This book is so good. I love it so much. Highly recommend. This is one that I don't have a physical copy of because this was part of my 12 in 2022 and I took it as a library book. But it is Behind Closed Doors, and I was very much floored by the story. It's the first thriller I'd read, so it may not be amazing, but I thought it was amazing. I really loved this book. It's so twisted, so messed up, but so well done. I love that it goes from past and present timelines. Like, it has that dual timeline until at the end you're like getting where they are merging together and you're figuring out what happened. So good. Highly recommend. Oh my goodness. We love this book. Next is a book that actually probably should not be above Behind Closed Doors because I liked Behind Closed Doors better, but we'll go with it. This is Stork, and it is definitely weird. Not gonna lie to you, like the premise of the book is very odd, because this girl finds out that she is an ancient figure called a stork, and she is part of this like society of women who are all like bird like figures. I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. But basically they decide who in the town gets pregnant. And it's so fun, yet so weird at the same time. But I highly recommend it. I didn't love the second book as much as the first, but I do want to continue with the series. But Stork was really, really good. I was so pleasantly surprised by this book. 3, we have 7 Days. Again, I was really pleasantly surprised by this book, and I had only ever heard one person talk about it, and I don't know who that was because it was years ago, but it was on my Goodreads TBR, so I read it. 7 Days. Basically, this mom she was kidnapped as a teenager, impregnated by this man who kidnapped her. She has had 3 children, and every time her child reaches their 3rd birthday, they get taken away. Her 3rd child now is about to reach his 3rd birthday, and she has 7 days to try to save him. And it's basically the story of what happens in those last 7 days. So, the number 2 spot is The Things We Cannot Say. I love this book so much. This was my favorite throughout 2022 for a long time, for several months. I love that it follows a dual timeline and dual perspective Nazi takeover in Poland situation for this grandmother when she was a teenager, but now she's older and her granddaughter is trying to investigate and like figure out what happened to her grandmother's loved ones, and also figure out who her family members really are, because so much was lost during that time period and her grandmother never really talked about it, and now her grandmother is in the hospital and she can't really talk anyway. I love this book. I highly recommend. And last but not least, my favorite book of the year, A Storm of Ice and Stars. I love this book so much. It is basically a tale of good and evil. It's the companion novel for A Shiver of Snow and Sky. It follows different characters, but oh my goodness, the connection between the 2 books is just perfection. Love it so much. Oh my gosh, the ending of this book, like just thinking about it gives me chills right now. I love this book so much. Definitely read the other one first, but definitely read this book. It moves along from page 1. Oh, I love this book. That is all for my top 10. Now we're going to talk about my bottom 10, and I obviously don't still have them because I've unhauled them or read them on ebook, but let me just list them quickly, explain why I don't like them, and let's get into this. The one that I hated the most was The Carpenter's Pencil. This one was just gross, and I hated it. It was boring as anything. Didn't have a plot. I hated it. Hated it. Worst book of the year. Hands down. Don't read it. Next, we have... I do have this one. The Christmas Bookshop. I talked about this in Bookmas, and I talked about this in the video that you guys saw yesterday. I don't appreciate when characters are making fun of people of faith and people's faith. Both, like, there were multiple occasions, there were 2 or 3, where characters would make comments about Christians and Christmas and baby Jesus. Like, who does that? I don't know. I wouldn't do that if someone else's faith. I don't know why it's acceptable here. So, we don't appreciate this. Second worst book of the year. The third worst book of the year, and I feel really bad to say this. This is just my opinion. There's nothing wrong with this book. Someday, Maybe by Lauren Graham. I love Lauren Graham. I love Gilmore Girls. But I did not love this book. It was not interesting to me. I didn't care. I just wanted it to end. I skimmed through the last 80 pages of it. Just no. Sorry. Then we have Doom with a View, which I was really hoping this was going to be a fun, cozy mystery, and it was not. It really didn't tell me a whole lot. I know, I read what happened, but it was not interesting and fun to get to. I thought that there would be clues throughout the story. I thought that it would be a fun story situation, and it was really just dialogue of people talking about why they did or did not think a certain person did the crime. And it was just boring. I hate me for this. There's nothing wrong with this book. It's perfectly cute. I know people love the series. I just don't think that it's a series for me. And that's okay. But All Systems Red was my number 5. I don't want to say worst, but it was one of my lowest rated for the year. I just didn't enjoy it. It's not the kind of book that I like. I didn't like the technical kind of way of talking. I like the robot. He was cute, but everything else in the story was just not interesting to me. And I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love this. So don't not read it because of my review. Try it for yourself, but I just didn't like it. Then we have The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. I was really hoping to enjoy this, and I just didn't. It followed too many different plot points, and if you're a character-based reader, you may enjoy this, but I really like a good plot. I like for my plots to be well thought out, well carried out, and this was just too all over the place for me to be able to enjoy. And we have Hearts Divided, which was a set of 3 short stories, 3 novellas, and they basically all were these girls getting love advice from their grandmothers, and it sounded really cute. It was fine, but it was not what I was hoping that it would be. I very much had to push myself to read through them. Don't really remember a whole lot about them except for one story was decent, but definitely not my favorite of the year. Then we have The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle. I have come to find that Rebecca Searle is not an author for me. I love her plot ideas. The premises of her books sound so good in theory, and I just don't love the execution. Unfortunately, it's just not a style that I can get into. So The Dinner List, unfortunately. Number 2, don't hate me, but The Silent Patient. I didn't predict how it was going to happen, but I totally saw it coming, and yeah, it just kind of ruined it for me. And I can see why if you didn't see this coming, you might enjoy this book. It wasn't enjoyable, and to be fair, it's a great plot point. It really is. I just didn't enjoy it. Number 1 book I didn't like this year was Where the Forest Meets the Stars, part of my 12 in 2022. Loved the premise of this book, but hated the execution of it. It was not what I thought it was going to be. Such a weird book. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I love the cover, but no. This was just a no from me, and that is all. All right. What did you guys think? Did you read any of these books? Do you like any of the books on my worst list? Do you hate any of the books on my best list? Let me know. Also, please let me know any of the books that you really enjoyed this year or books that you really did not enjoy this year. And give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new here because there's more content to come. I'm posting every day till the end of the year, and then in January we will start my Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. And I can't wait because I have so much planned for the year to come, and I don't want you guys to miss it. On that note, I will talk to you all tomorrow. I have a stack full of books here that I'm going to try a chapter in and see if I want to keep them or unhaul them, and I just can't wait. So stay tuned for that, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye!